Nick, introduced to us the first New York team in this Metropolitan League.
So the New York Islanders had 39 wins, 27 losses. Great run at the end of the season in order to make the playoffs, by the way. They were 19th on the power play with 20.3% conversion. Who's in? Anthony Duclair. Who's out? Clutterbuck and Matt Martin, which is actually an upgrade. Anyways, we'll get there. Player tiers. We have nobody listed here as 91 plus point projections. We'll see if that's accurate or not. And then we have Matthew Barzal between 80 and 90 points. So I'll throw it to Vince first. Talk to me about Matthew Barzal and the 80 to 90 point.
I like this ranking. Patrick Roy came a bit past midseason to take over this team. You saw there was already a jump in their steps when he took over the system. Islanders was always...
it was a slow jump.
Yeah, because Islanders were always a defensive team, right? So I think Patrick wanted to change that into a more attacking team, but it took time for guys to buy in. And I still don't think some guys did fully buy in still towards the end of the season. I think now he's got a whole off season. He knows his players better than he did when he first got there. And Barzal is the first one who's going to benefit from Patrick Roy. He likes to let his superstars go. He likes to play them hard minutes. So last year he hit 80 points in 80 games, so it was basically a point per game player. And he took 240 shots. His shooting percentage was 9.6, which is his average is about 10.7. So I don't see this minimizing. I feel then the 80-point range to 89 is feasible for Barzal. The only downfall with Barzal is I don't see him scoring more than 25 goals. I feel he's more of a playmaker than he is a goal scorer.
To me, his ceiling is a point per game. I think in his prime, that's what he can be consistently. I don't know. There's something, maybe it's just him being an Islanders that stops me from thinking he can put up 90-plus points. I love him as a player. I don't see him getting more than that 80, 82 points per season. I have a really hard time, which is why I like where he was placed. But if I were to be even safer, I would have put him between 70 and 79, just because I think he'll flirt between 79 and 82 points on a consistent basis, 78 and 82 points.
So there's a couple of things here that I'll highlight, and I will mention that I am an owner of Barzal. I did pay for him. A first-round pick, and it was a little bit of a dump as well. I got rid of Jesus, I can't remember names. It's 11 o'clock at night, guys. I'm really sorry. Calgary's Huberdeau. Yeah. So
that guy again.
That guy. Huberdeau and a first for Barzal was my trade. Now, I'll mention one thing right off the bat. Last year was the first time ever Barzal shot 240 shots on goal. If you saw games last year for the New York Islanders, he was making it a point to shoot all the time. And I loved what I saw, because a big reason I traded for him is this guy was not playing center anymore. And I think that was a huge upgrade in his fantasy value, because Barzal playing center, he was always the defensively responsible guy, coming back first, the first one on the back check, the first one here. Now he was focusing purely on offense, because he had Horvat playing more of that two-way defensive game. And that's where I saw the change in him. That's where I saw him put up an 80 points in 80 games, point per game last season. And I feel with Patrick Roy coming in, playing him 20, 21 minutes a night, because that's what I feel Patrick Roy does. He will grab his stars and he'll play his stars, right? I feel that there's a possibility he hits 85 points this year. Again, it's not that much of a difference, right?
No.
5 points, whatever, here and there. But that's what I think that he will do this year, and that's why I paid what I paid to get him.
Makes sense.
Next, so if we're saying Barzal is more of a playmaker, who's the guy that's going to be finishing off his passes?
Well, I mean, they have Horvat and they have Duclair now.
Yeah.
Anders Lee is not.
There's someone else before Andrews Lee that.
Well, there's Brock Nelson,
Yeah.
but he's a center, so he doesn't play at the same line as Horvat.
Or is center wing, depends.
Yeah, he plays
Yeah.
wing. I've never seen.
Sometimes.
I mean, the top power play, I agree with you, though. It's Nelson, Horvat, Dobson, Barzal.
But they're so weak in the middle. Well, having put Barzal on the wing, you kind of have to have him at center now.
So
Right.
since we're talking about Brock Nelson, we have him in tier 4 between 60 and 69 points. Do we see this as a good fit? As
We have nobody, by the way, in tier 3.
No.
So just to move on
Yeah.
officially, tier 4, we have 3 players.
So
That
Brock,
we already mentioned, but
Brock Nelson.
Brock Nelson is the one that we'll
Is
start
this
with.
a safe bet? Do we see him? Because I feel he's a guy that is always under the radar. You don't hear about him, and all of a sudden you look at the stats and you're like, oh wow, this guy's got 30 goals. And so is he
Consistently.
Yeah,
Like
so,
3 years in a row of over 30 goals.
So can he keep it up for this year, or can he go closer to 40 goals?
I think 35 is a great area in goal scoring for Nelson, and I think a big part of that is that he's also 32 years old,
Exactly.
right? He's not. I don't see Patrick Roy necessarily giving him 20 minutes a night. The guy's career high is 18 minutes a night, and I think 18 minutes a night, 35 goals, definitely PP1 is fair. So that puts me in that. Maybe even 70 point. I would even put him a tier higher.
Okay.
Like last year, he was on pace for 69. Actually, he finished with 69 points. The previous year, he was at 75. So, I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. Still 250 shots on goal. Like, the guy could score.
Yeah, he's fringe tier 3, tier 4. He's like right there.
Yeah.
And a bit like a bit like Barzal, he's like right at the edge. On any given season, he could be between 60 and 69, or the next he could be 70, 79. Obviously, he's 32 years old, so you would think he would start trending towards the 60, 69 at some point. But 32 is not old. It's not that old.
No, it's not that.
Not for goal scorers, anyway. So, in a realistic frame for next year, I see him as a 35-30, 35 goals, 30 assists, 65 points guy, which fits right into the tier 4.
So what about the other guy we mentioned that's going to be on power play 1, which is Bo Horvat?
Man.
So Horvat is a little bit of that Heischer type, right? He's a responsible two-way player that still puts up 30 goals 3 years in a row.
Not quite a point per game player.
No, I wouldn't. put
Oh
him
no,
in
sorry. I meant two-way. Like he's a good two-way
Yeah.
player, not necessarily a point per game. But yeah, go ahead, Junior.
Yeah, I see him potentially hitting the 70 points more than some of, like, let's say Nelson, because he's a more all-around player and could contribute both assists and goals. Like he makes the players around him a little bit better. 18 power play points last year. I like where he's situated just because I want to see the Islanders score more goals before I can start putting players in tier 3 and 2. But if there's a player that can move into tier 3 at 70 to 79, it's probably Bo Horvat or the next guy we'll talk about.
I feel he's a streaky player. So in 3 weeks, you might hear about Horvat scoring 15 goals. And then the 4 next weeks, you hear nothing about Horvat. So I feel his consistency has to be better for him to even be considered in the 70 to 79 point tier. I feel he has to. He can't. In 3 weeks, he can't score 10 goals and then go goalless for 4 weeks. It just won't happen.
Guys, I want to talk to you about a player that we didn't have written here.
Oh, you go, Nick. Off the board again.
But, well, it's my team, so I could do it. I want to talk about Anthony Duclair. And a big reason why I'll talk about Anthony Duclair is because he has the ability to hit that 60 to 70 point criteria for tier 4 that we have them at. And maybe a part of it is the fact that Patrick Roy loved this player from the Quebec Ramparts for years was one of his top goal scorers. Do we think Anthony Duclair has the ability to hit that 60 points here on this New York Islanders team?
He's paced for it twice in his career, both when he was with the Florida Panthers in 2020, 2021. Look, who else is going to put up points for them? I think they need another 60 to 65, 70 point player on this team in order to keep competing for a playoff spot. In a perfect world, according to them, he will be that guy. That's why they went out to get him. I don't know if I could label him that yet. Just a 60. He's going to be close. I think he's going to be close.
I think it's fair.
I think if his time on ice becomes what it's supposed to be in the top 6 forward, I think he could hit the 60 point. But this is all taking into account that Uruguay is changing the system into a more attacking system than defensive system. But he's definitely going to get, I don't see anybody taking Duclair off of the top 6 forwards. He's going to be in there as a winger. And listen, he can be the man. I'm trying to find for the guy who puts in the Barzal assists.
So I think a big part of it is going to be exactly what you said. It depends on where he's playing. He's playing top 6 for sure. But is he playing with Nelson or is he playing with Barzal and Horvat, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. Another top 6 player that's not on this list is Tsiplaklov.
They just signed them, right?
Yeah,
who is a KHL player.
That's it. I didn't know much about him. I didn't want to put him because like I said, I saw him on the top 6 on Daily Faceoff, but I wasn't sure if he was really going to hit that top 6.
Well, so Tsiplaklov is a KHL star.
Okay.
And he's one of those coming over. So you kind of don't know. Is he going to turn into like a Komarov? Is he going to turn into a, right? Like, is he going to be a Panarin? No, not a Panarin, right? But
Dandanov.
Right, Dandanov. So we don't know necessarily, but in the KHL, he's put up numbers before. Go ahead, Junior.
47 points in 65 games and 25 points the year before in 63. So he's coming off his career year.
Well, I know that the Habs were one of the teams that were looking to bring him in to the organization because he had a few teams that he was able to potentially go to, and he decided to go to the Islanders. And I think a big part of that is because he felt there's an opportunity for top 6 role here.
Yeah, he has the opportunity. I don't, like Vince said, I don't know much about the player, his best assets, his tools and stuff. But look, 47 points in the KHL is not too shabby. The fact that it's his career year and he's 25 years old, it doesn't surprise me because of how the KHL works and how they don't like to play young players that much. So at 25 career year, look, he's going to be top 6. He'll be given an opportunity for sure. It's up to him to take advantage of it.
It might be a little bit, so for those people in 1-year leagues, just keep an eye on him. It might be a little bit of a change going from KHL ice surface to NHL ice surface. The speed of the game is different as well. I'm not so sure that he starts in the top 6, but maybe graduates there eventually.
I suspect to see him in our waiver wire pickups during the season.
Yeah, might be an interesting player to keep an eye on. The other player who was in our 60 to 69 points list was Noah Dobson.
Listen, this kid had a phenomenal year last year, 70 points. There's no competition for him. He's going to get all the minutes and all the power play time on this team. So can he replicate the 70 points? I think he'll be the high 60s, and he'll be one that could, play be at the edges of the tier 3 that we're talking about.
I think this is who he could be. 70 point defenseman. Look, on a better power play, can he be almost an 80 point defenseman? Maybe. He already has 24 points on the power play. So I absolutely love Noah Dobson. 10 goals, 60 assists, 70 points last year. I think this could be his floor.
Really? So 60 to 69 is his floor, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I am an owner of Dobson in Project Llama. I don't know if he's going to play 24 minutes again, time on ice,
Who's gonna play?
but I mean, again, we said Patrick Roy loves to ride his superstars, and 70 points is not out of the realm of possibility for him again this year if he puts up that kind of ice time. With a slightly improved power play, I think it's very possible that he's a 70-point defenseman going forward. He hasn't even reached his prime yet, guys. He's just hit 24. You know, like we're talking about a player that you keep for years to come. $8 million, I think, is his new contract, only coming in next year. So
Actually, he's not signed. There was a rumor he was going to sign for $8 million.
Oh, was it?
But it's his final season at $4 million, and he's a RFA with arbitration rights heading into 2025, 2026.
Okay. So there you go.
But I, like you, right before checking, I was in the impression he had a long-term contract.
Yeah, I thought
Secured.
I saw that secured, but okay.
I'm going to check another website just to be sure.
There's no name out here that is going to dethrone him from that number one defenseman. I feel playing with Romanov is a good fit for him. Romanov who's known
a
as
perfect defensive
defenseman. And I don't know, man. The other power play defenseman we have is Ryan Pollock. I honestly don't know where he stands. I don't see it.
So Ryan Pollock in the past has been a good shot from the point guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But he doesn't do much else. So I think he keeps that until some of the younger players are maybe ready to take over that spot.
There's not much on that second power play either, right? Talent-wise?
No. The first power play is really like your go-to. And I really see Patrick Roy loading that first power play.
I'm minute 30 for that power play, and the other guys will get maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So it's Dobson and Pollock on the power play. Take that with a second power play with a grain of salt. Ilya Sorokin, save percentage 908 last year. Goals against average 3.01. He was 23rd goals saved above expected, with Semyon Varlamov as his backup. 918 save percentage. Goals against average 2.6. 15th in goals saved above expected.
I think Sorokin's going to have a bounce back here. That 3.01 is going to go way down for next year. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, tried to pull some fire under his bum by starting Varlamov more than he should.
You could tell we're parents, by the way.
Yeah.
Bum.
But I think he started Varlamov more than he should. I think Sorokin is a goalie who needs to play 60 to 65 games to get into his groove.
He played him more because they wanted to win, and Varlamov was making them win.
Was the hot hand, exactly. Yeah, but then Varlamov went in the playoffs and Sorokin took his spot back. Okay, so, I listen, I don't think there's no debate here. Sorokin's going to get 70% of the starts on this team.
Well, I think NHL.com put up their fantasy, or even Daily Faceoff, put up their fantasy stuff, and they put as goalies, I think Sorokin was top 5 in the league for next year in their assessment. I saw one website that had him 8th in the league. Whatever. Right? We're still talking about one of the elite players in this.
In his 4 seasons in the league, he never had goals against average higher than 2.4. He went to 2.99. He never had a save percentage of lower than 918. He went to 909.
So you know how we said goals save above expected is an important stat, right? That we use in order to qualify goalies. Another one that you guys should start looking at is quality start percentage. Mm-hmm. And like last year, he had a 58% quality start percentage. The year before that, 69. The year before that, 69. The year before that, 68. So it was an off year for Sorokin for sure. And I think it's more the outlier rather than the actual moving forward.
And prospects, honestly, when I filled up this list with prospects, I did not know any of them. I feel most of their prospects are playing in the NHL or developed into NHL players right now.
Well, there's Cole Eiserman, right?
Oh,
Drafted
that they
this
just
year.
drafted,
That's their prolific prospect.
yeah, which is true. I didn't put him in here, but yeah, he's gonna be the guy, right? That they're hoping is gonna put the puck behind the net when Barzal gives it to him.
Other than that,
But is there any other prospects you guys are really?
Delius has a chance to be a pretty decent player in the NHL. Quinn Finley, Matthew Magua. I'm not crazy about any of these guys. However,
there was talk of Dufour. He was having a good AHL season last year. He came up, didn't do as well, but maybe he's only still 22.
Cole Eiserman, I think, is a big one that we you guys already mentioned. But I just want to highlight the fact
Yeah,
that
I think he was a big pickup for them this year.
he was a big pickup for them this year. No, other than that, I mean, there's not much that I could really say.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the team is not very confident, or at least the fans are not very confident in Lou's recent management of the team. Giving long-term contracts to bottom sixers is not the way to go necessarily, and that's how the team has been operating. So they're in a little bit of cap hell, and they're not that good of a team to be in cap hell. So that's the part that really hurts. However, in Dom's model, and you guys have anything else to say about the Islanders before we move on?
Last straw for Oliver Wahlstrom.
Oh, I think they're just giving him an extra season. I think his last straw was last year. I don't unless he really rips it out of the park and
So on the confidence meter, Dom's model had New York Islanders as the worst team. The fans have the least amount of confidence in their management.
New Yorkers, they expect the best.
They were 31st in the league in roster building, D- in cap management, D- in draft and development. Like everything, the vision is D-. Like they just don't see this turning into anything. However, Dom's model had them at 11th in off-season.
I agree. Listen, they got rid of their Clutterbuck and Martin were their bottom six players, and they replaced them with Duclair, who's a top six.
Yeah.
So
11th in Dom's model, addition by subtraction by getting rid of Clutterbuck and Martin, according to Dom. Much needed scoring depth with Duclair is a plus. And they also had a half decent draft with Cole Eiserman. If he could develop into maybe not Oliver Wahlstrom, that's a win. So
And Tsiplakov, who knows what to expect from him.
Tsiplakov might be a win as well. I mean, it's
there's a lot more questions with this team than answers, and we're hoping to get answers during training camp and beginning of the season.